Hey everybody out there, my name is Dragnix, and we're going to take another look at Resident Evil Revelations 2, and we're going to look at it a little bit differently today. So, I've been harsh on Resident Evil Revelations 2 for the pretty much the entire episodes that I've gone through. If you've taken a look at some of the stuff I've done at Tech Raptor, my review will be coming out shortly on it. It's been a game that I think has been real problematic in terms of game design. Not just necessarily the game itself, but from a design level perspective. Again, I'm not a game designer. I mean, I did software engineering, and I know some elements of software engineering in terms of how it relates to game design, but it's more so the fact that, simple things that game design and the overall themes that you're trying to go for work towards. I mean, designing a game isn't exactly easy. It's, put everything together, put all these puzzle pieces together in a distinct way and make sure that they all work together. Now, let's stop it right. All right, so we're going to do something a little different. We're going to test you guys on the game design elements to see which one you choose in terms of what comes up next. Now, if you notice this situation here, there is a factory in which Claire and Mora have gotten into, and basically they're escaping because it's falling apart. So the idea is that the stress of the situation, the entire building collapsing around you, is supposed to give you this sense of unease and the ability to, you need to get out. You need to get out of this situation before the entire room collapses on you. And so it's a high-paced, high-action kind of moment. It's the kind of action where it's just like, okay, I got to get out of here no matter what is in my way. I need to find a way to get around it. So let's make some choices here in terms of what you can do as a game designer to help that feeling along. So here are 4 choices. So do you A, place zombies along the path in terms of slowing down the character and dealing with them as needed, whether or not the space allows for them to be run by or you have to take them out for a little bit. Set up a puzzle that the players have to deal with quickly, testing their quick thinking ability and the ability to do it under stress. C. End the game with a boss battle with everything falling around you as the tension is ramped up. Or D. Introduce the enemy type that this pair hasn't dealt with yet, has no good way of dealing with, that goes against everything in terms of stress and management of the situation in terms of running for your life. I'll give you a couple seconds to think about it. I mean, there's a lot of good choices here. You could really make a lot of good choices with the exception of one, I think. Let's see which one they chose.
You're right.
And the correct answer, of course, is D. And if you guessed D, well, then I guess you're one of the Capcom designers who designed this game. Alright, so I'm going to take these off for a second. I'm going to get personal here. Let's move this up a little bit. I want to take this to the personal level in terms of me talking to Capcom in particular, because I've been very harsh on Capcom with Resident Evil Revelations 2. If anybody's seen my design videos or my videos over at Tech Raptor, like the hunts and the first impressions, they know that I've been very harsh on the game. And my review is probably going to be along the same lines. I'm writing it now, and I'm trying to be fair, understanding what design elements they were going for, but still being very critical of them. But that's where I want to be clear. I try to find the best out of games. I try to find the genre match, because not everybody's the same. Not every gamer's the same. Every game has an audience that it's trying to go for. A game like Burnstar, for example, is going for those hardcore puzzle completionists. A game like Enemy is going for those more RPG, XCOM fans, Jagged Alliance fans. That's where I look at Revelations 2, and I try to figure out, is this a co-op experience? Because survival horror has been thrown out the window. And I mean, it's sad because Revelations 1 really introduced those themes back, where the ship section in that game really played well in terms of, oh, hey, this is exactly what survival horror is about. That feeling of tension, that feeling of claustrophobia, that feeling of I don't know what's going to happen next. But Resident Evil hasn't been like that for lately, and ever since 4, it's been more of an action game. And you know what the sad thing is? People are like, well, have responded like, hey, Resident Evil 4. Are you like a hardcore Resident Evil fan with the survival horror days? That's the thing. I'm not. My favorite game of the series is 4. It's the game that got me back into the series. After some of the Code. I mean, I liked Code Veronica, but like I wasn't that great of a fan of the series. But 4 got me back into it. And the thing is, 4 is an action game. But let's not, joke about that. It's an action game. It's not survival horror. But what 4 did was it knew it was an action game. It had survival horror elements. The Regenerator, introducing that, had that moment of, oh shit, what's going on? But from a design level perspective, Revelations 2 is a co-op game that's trying to be this suspense thriller. This idea of, oh, what's happening next? You don't know. Here's some zombies. And, well, let's turn that off. The thing about that is that you need to work to that strength. If that's the way you're going to go, introduce mechanics that go along that theme. Introducing a co-op mechanic in which you take away that is just utterly insane. The idea of, oh, you don't know what's around any corner, except you do because Natalia is able to see him. Oh, well, any zombie can come at you and they can bite you at any time, or they can infect you at any time. Except Mora can stun him with a flashlight. It's those kind of elements where I wonder about if an idea came up in a meeting, like, oh, we can do this co-op thing with this, this girl who can find things in the environment. And they worked off that, but didn't realize, like, it's a cog. It's a cog in a machine that every cog should move together in terms of it working together. The idea of an assembly line where one thing passes to the next, passes to the next. If one cog doesn't work, the assembly line starts to get backed up or is inefficient at that point. And that's what I think I have the major problem with Capcom is with the Resident Evil franchise. It's just like every decision that you make doesn't work with all the other decisions that you make. The idea of like what I just showed. You're creating this tension, this feeling of, oh god, this place is collapsing all around me. And then you introduce an enemy that tells you to say, you have to take a step back, you have to slow down. If you try to run or try to, deal with that enemy in a timely manner, you're going to die. You see where I'm going with this? And especially when you haven't introduced that in a natural environment at that point. There is no point where Moira and Claire have dealt with this in a reasonable way. The thing is that you've dealt with it in Barry and Natalia's campaign, but it's a lot different. Natalia points him out, Barry deals with him. That actually worked. The fact that even from a single player element that worked because it was like, okay, he's there. It works a lot better in a co-op experience because of the fact that one person can go, okay, he's over by that bow right there, for example. You see the bow on the wall there. You can point that out, and it works from a tension standpoint because what happens if I say, oh, he's by that Wii nunchuck? Well, hold on, where's the Wii nunchuck at this point? That's the kind of thing in which it works so well. There is a sense of tension. Every sense of tension in this game just completely was thrown out the window, and that's obviously what they were trying to go for in terms of tension. Not necessarily survival horror, but tension. So Capcom, I want you to sit back and think about, where are you from a design level perspective? Where are you looking where everything should be a helping hand in terms of the design elements, but instead you're creating a game that's a mishmash of all these elements that don't work together? That's why I have a problem with you. I see potential. I see those elements of the forest scene with Barry, where they are in the trees and they can drop down at any point, and even Natalia is not useful at that point. There are moments like that where just like you nailed it. You knew what you were doing. The raid mode, for example, if you were going for an action experience, raid mode, perfect. All right, exactly the kind of side game that you would want. Work towards your strengths. Don't be this ever like this like trying to do everything, which is what I feel like you're going to do. You want to appeal to a single player audience, a co-op audience. You want all the money at this point. And then you create a game in which it fails because it's so spread out. Design level projects is a really important job in terms of an overall designer to take the game, overlook it, and be like, this all works together. That's a really critical job. It is a very underrated job because it's a lot of management of things. And management is really underrated at times in terms of some of these projects. The fact is that you are sort of the go-to person in terms of you got to do X, Y, and Z. Z doesn't want to do what X is doing in terms of design, but you've got to make the decision. Capcom, take a little hint from your Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate and work towards your strengths rather than your weaknesses, because you're not going to survive. That's what the scary part for me is. I loved Capcom games. I love the Mega Man series. I love certain elements of Street Fighter. I do love elements of Resident Evil. I see a company that has failed on several levels, very similar to Sega lately, to not understand what they were doing, and not only that, attempting things that they honestly shouldn't have done. The PC port, for example, horrible. I mean, I can't recommend it on any level. Work towards your strengths, Capcom. As a fan of your old stuff, I mean, hell, take a look. I love the Mega Man series. I mean, that's a personal drawing from a friend there, in terms of the Mega Man. I mean, hold on. I mean, the sprites, you know, Mega Man's a key portion of that. I love the Mega Man series. I am a fan of the Mega Man series. Capcom, please get your shit together, because I really don't want to write you off, but lately, I'm going to have to. Later, guys. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have a chance, leave some feedback and comments below. If you liked the video, hit that like button. And if you want more content like this, hit that subscribe button. This is Dragnix signing off, hoping that gaming brings as much fun to you as it does for me.